The Genius Files, Mission Unstoppable by Dan Gutman. Chapter 14 is called The Singing Sands. The twins woke up the next morning, June 20th, to hear their father ranting to nobody in particular. "A ticket?" Dr. McDonald bellowed. "I can't believe the cops would give me a parking ticket in a campground. That's un-American." Coke buried his face in his pillow and tried to go back to sleep. When Dr. McDonald went inside and peeled the ticket off the windshield, he realized it wasn't a ticket at all because no ticket would look like a secret coded message. "What do you make of this, Bridge?" he asked. "Well, it's not a ticket," Mrs. McDonald replied. "Maybe it's a new kind of Sudoku puzzle or some word game. It looks sort of like a code." With the word code, Pep and Coke bolted up from their bunks. If somebody had left a message with a secret code on the windshield, it was meant for them, not their parents. Coke ran outside in his pajamas and bare feet to snatch the piece of paper out of his father's hand. He glanced at it for a few seconds, just long enough to commit it to memory. Then he ripped up the paper and threw the pieces in the garbage can right next to their campsite. "It's probably just some kids playing a prank," he said. "So, what's for breakfast? What fabulous place are we going to visit today? Maybe a museum devoted to Mr. Potato Head?" "Oh, you'll see," his mom replied. "All I can say to you is this: it's something to do with singing." While the others got dressed and brushed their teeth over the little sink, Coke carefully rewrote the message from the windshield onto a sheet of paper. Even people with photographic memories know that the photos can fade in time. "Hey, somebody left another cipher," he confirmed to his sister while their parents prepared breakfast. "If it's anything like the last one, you should be able to solve it." Pepsi looked at the letters and then wrote them down in reverse order on her pad, the same way that she had done with the first cipher. Only this time the message didn't make any sense and it didn't look anything like English. "What's wrong?" Coke asked his sister after she had stared at the pad for 5 minutes. "Nothing," she replied. "It's just a different kind of cipher. Give me a little bit of time. I'll crack it." When everyone had eaten and the dishes were washed, Dr. McDonald started the RV and jumped back in, out on I-80 heading east. In about an hour's time, they crossed the state line. "Did you guys know that the word Nevada means snow-capped in Spanish?" Coke announced. And the state sign says, "Welcome to Nevada, the Silver State." "Very impressive," Mrs. McDonald said. "Yeah, thank you, Mr. Show-Off," said Pepsi. Less than 10 minutes from California's border was the big city of Reno. The flashing lights of the casinos were beckoning, but Dr. McDonald barely glanced at them. "Hey, gambling's legal here, Dad," Coke hollered from the back seat. "We should hit the slots and play some blackjack." "You're too young to gamble," Dr. McDonald hollered back, "and I'm too smart." Coke shared a smile with his sister. They had been attacked by guys in golf carts with blowguns, jumped off a cliff, been locked in a burning school, and had their heads stapled. But putting coins into a slot machine was considered too dangerous for kids. Go figure. As the buildings of Reno disappeared behind them, Pepsi worked feverishly on the cipher. She jumbled the letters on her pad every which way, trying to make them make sense, but she grew increasingly frustrated. The family continued east on I-80, and shortly after passing Wadsworth, Nevada, the road split. Mrs. McDonald instructed her husband to take the Reno Highway, which is called Route 50 East. It wasn't long before they reached the town of Fallon and a sign that said, "Visit the Sand Mountain and listen to the singing sand dunes." They had driven another 25 miles east when Mrs. McDonald suddenly shouted, "There it is!" And in the distance, nestled between two mountain ranges, out in the middle of nowhere, was a gigantic mountain of sand. A beach at the edge of an ocean is no big deal, but a beach in the middle of Nevada is just plain strange. To make things even stranger, as the McDonald's got closer, they could hear the sand singing. Sand Mountain Recreation Area is famous out west because it gives off an odd, otherworldly moaning sound, like the soundtrack to a horror movie. Dr. McDonald pulled onto a dirt road that brought them to the edge of the dune. Theirs was the only vehicle in the parking lot. Even the kids, who liked to pretend that nothing impressed them, climbed out of the RV to listen to the sand. The sign stuck in the ground read, "Take only photos and leave only footprints." The dune is 2 miles long and 600 feet high. There was no sign of human beings for miles around. And the sand was talking, singing, moaning. Pepsi felt goose pimples on her arms. This was a noise she had never heard before. "It sounds like somebody who's wounded," Dr. McDonald observed, "but not quite dead yet." "It's because of the size of the grains of sand and the way the grains bump against each other," said Coke, who had once read an article on the topic in a science magazine where he was getting his hair cut. Coke told the others that in order to sing, the grains of sand have to be very dry, round, and polished. They have to move, either because of the wind or some geological force. There are 27 areas around the world where there are singing sand dunes, but only 4 of them are in the United States. "I don't like that sound," Pepsi said quietly. "It's creepy." "I think it's marvelous," Mrs. McDonald gushed, reaching for her laptop. "I am going to tell my readers all about it." "Well, in that case, I'll be taking a snooze," Dr. McDonald said as he climbed into the RV and reclined the driver's seat back as far as it would go. "Hey, do you want to hike up there?" Coke asked his sister. "I wonder what it sounds like from the top." No thanks," Pepsi replied. "Come on, are you afraid?" "No, I'm not afraid," Pepsi insisted. "I just don't want to." Coke proceeded to make chicken sounds, which prompted Pepsi to start sprinting up the sand dune ahead of him. "Last one to the summit's a rotten egg," she yelled. "You kids have fun," Dr. McDonald yelled after them. "The old fogies will stay here in the RV and listen to the sand singing from the parking lot." "Here," Mrs. McDonald said as she flipped a little glass jar to Coke. "Fill this with some of the sand from the summit. There's no gift shop here. You're going to have to bring your own souvenir." He stuck the jar into his pocket, and then he chased Pepsi up the steep slope of Sand Mountain. As the twins climbed, they could hear the pitch of the music change, and they could feel the vibrations in their bones. It was an eerie feeling. Coke looked up in the sky for a plane. It was hard to believe that the sound he was hearing was really being made by a sand dune. It was still morning, but the surface was already hot, and they could feel the sand through their sneakers. "We should have brought a bottle of water," Pepsi said when they were halfway to the top. "And the Frisbee. This would be a great place to throw it." "I don't want to chase your wild throws all over this mountain," Coke said. The sand was soft, and their feet sank into it with each step. They turned to wave to their parents down in the parking lot, but the RV was already just a dot in the horizon. They were so far away. "I know this is going to sound crazy," Pepsi suddenly said, panting as she climbed, "but I have a feeling that somebody's following us." "Oh, please," Coke replied. "Would you relax? How could somebody follow us? There is nobody around here for miles. See? The parking lot's empty. Nobody's here but us." As they neared the top of the mountain, Coke took out the jar his mother had given to him. Pepsi got down on her hands and knees and helped him fill it with sand. Coke had just screwed the top on and stuck the jar in his pocket when he heard a voice. And it wasn't the voice from the sand. "Don't stand up," a man ordered. The The twins turned around quickly to look. There was a man standing about 10 feet behind them. He was wearing a black suit and a black bowler hat. In his hand was a long, shiny sword. The sun reflected off of it. "Who are you?" Pepsi asked, shielding her eyes from the glare. "And how did you get up here?" "Who I am and how I got here is not important, sweetheart," the man told her. "I know who you are," said Coke, who recognized the man right away. "You're one of the guys from the golf carts, the dudes with the bowler hats and the blowguns." "Very good," the bowler dude said. "That was clever, the way the two of you jumped off the cliff to get away from us the other day. It took me by surprise, but it won't happen again." "What are you doing here?" Pepsi asked, squeezing her brother's hand tightly. "I thought you were supposed to be so smart, sweetheart," the bowler dude said, holding up his sword. "It's obvious what I'm doing here. I'm going to kill you. You know what they say, if at first you don't succeed, try again. But I won't make the same mistake this time. No cliffs." "You're gonna kill us with a sword?" Coke asked. "Of course not," the bowler dude replied. "That would be uncivilized." What did we do?" Pepsi said, tears in her eyes. "We didn't hurt anybody. We just..." "Shut up, sweetheart." Holding the sword over their heads, the bowler dude marched the twins up to the very top of Sand Mountain, and then a few yards further, where there was a pit that had been dug into the dune on the other side. It was 7 feet deep and about the size of a pool table. "You'll die from dehydration," the bowler dude informed them. "It's far more humane." "I'm not getting into that pit," Pepsi said defiantly. "Me neither." The bowler dude held his sword sideways in front of them and used the flat side to shove both of them backwards. They lost their balance and tumbled into the pit. "Ow!" Coke said, landing hard on his side. Pepsi popped up right away. She got on her tiptoes and jumped, half expecting Maya and Bones to suddenly show up and save them again. But the pit was too deep to see out of, and there was nobody else around. "Your friends aren't here to help you this time, sweetheart," the bowler dude said to her. "My good friend, Mrs. Higgins, has taken care of them. They won't be saving your lives anymore." "Help!" Pepsi screamed. "Mom! Dad! Help!"